Alright, this is not the most polished cooking video you'll ever see. Let's just get that out of the way right now. But what you are about to see are two insanely good carnivore breakfast wraps, made from whatever I had left in my fridge, cooked a bit chaotically, and eaten proudly. Because honestly, the taste? Worth it. So here's what happened. I was super hungry. Not starving for days hungry. Just that kind of urgent breakfast energy where you know you need something satisfying and hot and you want it now. I opened my fridge and took a quick look. 300 grams of ground beef, a bit of cheddar cheese, eggs, a bit of heavy cream, a couple slices of bacon, and some butter. Not much, but definitely workable. The usual plan would have been something like scrambled eggs with ground beef on the side, maybe toss the bacon on top, call it a day. But I didn't feel like doing the same old thing. I wanted something fun, something I could pick up and bite into, like a wrap or burrito. I've got eggs, I've got cheese, I can make something happen. So first up, the bacon. I had 2 slices left, so I chopped them into little pieces and tossed them in a hot pan with melted butter. I let them cook down until they were golden and just a little bit crispy around the edges. Not too crunchy, because I wanted them soft enough to blend into the filling later. More importantly, I let that beautiful bacon fat render out. I wasn't about to waste that. I was going to cook everything else in it. Once the bacon was done, I set the bits aside and left all the fat in the pan. Then I moved straight to the egg wrap. I cracked 1 egg into a bowl and added a tablespoon of heavy cream. Didn't add salt, since everything else I was cooking was already salty enough. That little splash of cream is optional, but I like how it softens the texture and makes the egg feel more like a pancake when it cooks. I poured the egg mixture into the pan, still hot from the bacon, and tilted it around to make a nice thin circle. It cooked quickly in the bacon fat, and once the top set, I flipped it around to finish the other side. It came out soft, flexible, and honestly, pretty ideal. I set it aside to cool while I worked on the rest. Next, the beef. I dropped all 300 grams of ground beef into the same pan, added some salt. As the beef started to brown, I cracked the second egg directly into the pan. I do this a lot when I want the filling to feel a little richer and stick together. It kind of turns into a super basic meat scramble, but it's way more satisfying than plain ground beef on its own. I cooked that down until everything was browned and juicy. At that point, the smell alone was enough to make me want to eat straight out of the pan, but I was still holding out for those wraps. Now let's talk about a cheese wrap. This was a bit of an experiment. I used to make cheese chips back when I tried keto like 5 years ago. Haven't done that in ages. And I definitely never have made a cheese wrap before. I figured if I melted it carefully, I could get it just soft enough to fold. So I grabbed some shredded cheddar. I started with about 60 grams. But as it cooked, I added a bit more around the edges because it didn't look wide enough. And honestly, that kinda messed it up. It bubbled like it was supposed to, but that extra cheese I added late didn't melt evenly, so the edges were softer and looser, and the whole thing looked lopsided. Also, quick side note, I wanted to take a second to say thank you. In my last video, I asked for help naming my upcoming carnivore series. I also made a post about this in order to get more feedback. So if you haven't seen that yet, check out the posts tab and let me know which name you like the best. I'm going to pick something soon, and I really appreciate everyone who's subscribed so far. It's been cool to build this little channel and share these messy but tasty carnivore meals with you. Alright, back to my imperfect cheese wrap. That was the first wrap I assembled. While it's still warm, I ran to the table and transferred it to a plate. I scooped in a generous portion of the beef filling, folded it over as best as I could, while the cheese was still soft. And yeah, it wasn't the prettiest. The shape was off, the fold wasn't clean, and the bottom kind of bulged out. At this point, I was ready to stop the recording and leave this one. But all of that changed when I took a bite later, which is why we are here today. The taste was ridiculous. The cheddar wrap was salty, gooey, just barely holding together around that rich beef mix. And somehow, the uglier it looked, the better it tasted. All that cheese, all that fat, it was messy, but in the best way possible. Then I grabbed the egg wrap and filled it with as much of the beef mixture as possible. I didn't use all of it, and I added the bacon bits. I definitely overstuffed it. Tried to roll it gently, and it cracked on one side. Classic. So I wrapped the whole thing in foil, burrito style, just to hold it together. And again, it might not have looked Instagram worthy, but flavor-wise, 10 out of 10. The egg was soft, filling was juicy, and the bacon came through just enough to balance out the beef. It had the classic breakfast taste, but without any bread or carbs. Just pure protein and fat. And it kept me full for hours. I ended up eating both wraps right after filming, and I'm not exaggerating. This was one of the best breakfasts I've had in a while. Simple ingredients, nothing fancy, just cooked in a way that felt different from the usual. A little crunch from the cheese, a soft bite from the egg, and that fatty, meaty feeling that brings it all together. If you're eating carnivore and you're bored of plain burgers and eggs, give this a shot. You don't need any special tools or ingredients, just melt some cheese, make a quick egg pancake, cook up some beef and bacon, and wrap it however you can. Even if it falls apart, it's still going to taste amazing. So yeah, the recipe, solid. The video, not my finest work, but hey, it's real life. I filmed it while I was hungry, I messed up the cheese wrap a little, I wrapped the egg one in foil like it was street food, but it worked. It was hot, it was satisfying, and it reminded me why I love this way of eating. Let me know in the comments if you've ever made a cheese or egg wrap before, or if you got a better way to keep your wraps from exploding like mine did. And don't forget to vote on the series name if you haven't yet. Thanks for watching, now go eat something wrapped in meat, and I'll meet you here next time on Meet Carnivore.